Hi, this is lecture 24, What Motives Cause the Nations of Europe to Engage in Imperialist Activities. We're going to talk about political, economic, and social motives today. So first thing we got to talk about is imperialism. What is imperialism? It's when one country takes over another economically, politically, or socially. You physically take it over. It can be all three, it can be just one. Economic refers to money-wise, politically refers to leadership, and socially means in terms of culture and their day-to-day life. Politically, the first country to really do this was Belgium, and he gained personal control over the Congo. The Congo is right about here. And this seizure of land motivated other European countries to imperialize Africa. Around 1880, all these countries of Europe, especially the British, the French, the Portuguese, and the Spanish, had imperialized the outer edges of Africa, but they were never able to get into the interior of Africa. So what changes is the Industrial Revolution. They get powerful steamboats that can go up into the interior of Africa, and they can control those native populations with their new types of weapons that were used from the Industrial Revolution. Now, they popularized what happened with Belgium in the press, in the newspapers. The most famous is the missing doctor, Dr. Livingstone. Dr. Livingstone went into the Congo, and then a newspaper reporter traveled all the way in there and found him, and his famous words to him, Dr. Livingstone, I presume. And so there was all these great stories about what you could do in Africa in the 19th century in Europe, and it's the place to go for adventure. So that leads us to the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution was this increased production of machine-made goods. Economically, you were looking for new markets and raw materials, because if you imperialized a country, you controlled them, and they had to buy your products. For example, if you were a French colony, you had to buy French products. And if you were a French colony and we were making cloth, we could get cotton from Africa, bring it back to France, turn it into a textile, and you had to buy it. We also had major technological advantages for them. The steam engine allowed them to conquer the distance between Europe and Africa, and even within Europe, you could have a very small number, within Africa, you could have a very small number of soldiers controlling a very large number of Africans. The most famous of these type of weapons is called the Maxim gun, which is a picture right here. It's the first machine gun. And with just a small number of guys, you could control an entire population because you couldn't attack them. They had control because of their weaponry. This leads to racism. Now, racism is the concept that one race is superior to others. And the technology made the Europeans feel this way. They felt that they were superior to Africans. Here's a little cartoon where you have a white dog barking at a black dog, and the person's calling them racist. Another element of this is social Darwinism. Now, Darwinism comes from Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, and that we evolved from monkeys. And you applied it to social change as well. Those who were fittest for survival enjoyed wealth and success, and those that were not died out, those societies. And they believed that the Europeans were the fittest. Ultimately, this leads to the Berlin Conference in 1884 and 1885. Excuse the phone, it's ringing. And there was a dispute over lands in Africa, had almost caused war between these nations. So what they decided at the Berlin Conference, that European countries could claim land in Africa by notifying others and controlling the area. And you saw this in contrast to the map of Africa in 1880. By 1914, all of these countries have controlled Africa, and Africans were not even present at the Berlin Conference. Berlin happened in Germany, and these countries took over these African nations, and because they had the power to do it, they were able to control it and use them, Industrial Revolution, to make these captive markets. There's some independent countries. You got Ethiopia over here. They maintain their independence very famously, and we'll talk more about that as well. All right, thank you. Bye.